joined today by
J.R. Romano.
Well, hello, everyone. J.R. Romano here with the Connecticut Republican Party. Session has ended, and I wish I could say that it ended well. I cannot tell you how worried and concerned I am for the great state of Connecticut. The Democrats in this state, they just cannot accept the fact that economically they have no idea what they're doing. When you consider this legislative session, where we already knew we were massively, something like $2 billion in the hole, and I've never seen a group, and this is where, and I had the guy that I do my dry cleaning with, I walked in to pick up my dry cleaning the other day, and he says to me, are they really putting taxes on, this and that? And I said, look, you got to start telling your friends to stop voting for Democrats. I don't know what else to tell people. That if you were more upset, literally more obsessed with some emotional connection that is not based in logic and in fact, I don't even know how for people to comprehend how devastating this session was for any working class person in the state of Connecticut. And the funny part about it is Democrats are celebrating as though they've accomplished something. Well, they have accomplished something. They've accomplished in raising taxes at heights unknown to us ever in our history. And they're not even being genuinely honest or sincere about the fact they're actually celebrating. Like they're joyful and happy, and they're talking about what a great session it was and all that they've accomplished. And all that they have accomplished is to figure out multiple ways to take your money. That's it. That's all they've managed to figure out. And this goes back to one of my more frustrating points was, and once again, they have decided to divert.
We diverted some money from going into that, which is different.
They've decided to divert money, $170 million from new car sales is being diverted away from the Special Transportation Fund. Here it is again, folks, right? The lockbox. Don't worry. And here we are. They're taking the money. They're robbing the armored car before it ever gets to the bank and then saying, what? That's not, we didn't rob the bank. What are you talking about? And literally here's a clip of Joe Simowitz getting frustrated when getting called out on it.
Sweeping $170 million out of the STF?
There was no sweep. I will clarify that. An additional amount from the new car sales was to go into the STF. It wasn't a sweep. It wasn't a raid. It is still our intentions to pass a long-term transportation funding structure in the state of Connecticut. If that was to fail, I would come back and say we need to put that money back in. But right now, we raided it yet again. There's been no raid.
We diverted some money, which is different.
This is what we're dealing with every day in Hartford. You have to be talking to your friends and your family about how dysfunctional it is. I know it's hard and you can't get emotional and passionate because God knows the Democrats and liberals are allowed to be emotional and reactive. We have to remain calm and explain how these policies are completely destroying our state. Literally to the point where, so this whole thing about diverting money away. So now, again, the cat's out of the bag, and reporters are now holding these legislators accountable every time they divert money or pretend as though, the Special Transportation Fund isn't solvent. It's because they're not putting money in it. What this session has accomplished is given a $50 million in new taxes on products like prepared foods, safety equipment. I know I've touched on this before, but this is what we're talking about, nickeling and diming every hardworking, every person, every man and woman who is punching a clock every day to put food on their table. The state of Connecticut is figuring out ways to take from you. They're taking it from you unapologetically, celebrating the fact that they're taking it from you. And here's a prime example of this. Let me play you this clip of Ned Lamont joking about it.
And I hope it didn't take too much of a toll on you. Which reminds me, we do have a little bit of unfinished business, and we're going to have to figure out, Republicans and Democrats alike know how important fixing our transportation system is and speeding up our transportation system. We have a dispute about how we're going to pay for it, but we're going to do that together, and we're going to do that in the special session.
That's right. He literally makes a joke about how we still need tolls. So after all these new taxes, after all these new revenue sources, he wants more. And he's laughing about it. You know why he's laughing about it? You know why? Because he's a millionaire. And he has no idea the pressure that he is putting on hardworking families in Norwich, in Torrington, in East Hartford, in the Valley where I'm from, because he doesn't know that reality. He thinks it's funny. I think it's offensive. Funny to joke about another tax, something else for us to pay. Meanwhile, unions conceded nothing. They cut nothing. All they did was take from you. I'm going to repeat that. All they did was take from you and your family. We have to be resilient in telling our stories. Talk about it on a human level about how these things are going to hurt your family. How? You have 3 children, 2 children, a child. You can't afford a college savings account. But don't worry, the state's going to take from you. They're going to take care of you, but not from the unions, right? They're not taking anything from state employees. Nothing. Literally, Ned Lamont and the Connecticut Democratic Party did nothing in regards to cutting spending. They increased spending this session. It's disgusting. And they're celebrating and smiling and slapping each other on the backs as though Connecticut isn't in a fiscal freefall. That is the Connecticut Democratic Party. It is insane. And I feel, you know what the funniest part about it is? I feel like a soothsayer. Some people are going to have to look up that word, but I feel like a soothsayer, and here's why. I talked about on this very podcast, and I'm going to remind everyone to subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on, please subscribe. But on this very platform, I described how Ned Lamont was using tolls because he really wants tolls, because he wants the revenue. He's not going to fix the roads. He's not going to fix the bridges. He just wants the revenue. And he's bartering with city Democrats because they want, casinos, and they want money for new train stations and all. This is this dance that they're doing. Give me something in order to get my vote, right? You got to give me bonding. You got to give me all this stuff. And so what Ned Lamont did, he used FMLA, the Family Medical Leave Act, in order to start that negotiation. I called it. Because he was not going to give the Progressive Caucus and these city Democrats what they wanted without getting what he wanted, and that's tolls. This is how the Democrats run government. It's disgusting. They don't care about you. All they care about are their special interests. I cannot say that enough. And when you push them on it, they have this moral, this fallback that when you challenge them on their failures, suddenly we're the problems. We're the ones that are wrong. Meanwhile, you can't argue with the fact the state is in complete fiscal freefall. It is so frustrating. And then when I think about the taxes that they're pushing on hardworking, and I mean hardworking people in the state that can't afford to leave. The real estate values, which we've talked about on this podcast, have been flat since 2009. Flat. So anyone that is trying to rely on their home as an investment in basically a decade, you gain nothing, right? Ironically, the only investment that has gained anything has been the stock market, and that's because of policies of President Donald Trump. But the policies here in Connecticut has destroyed everything here. We're behind the national economy at every measure. I have to give Themis Klarides and Len Fasano a lot of credit. They worked so hard in just trying to prevent bad bills after bad bill after bad bill. And we have to be resilient. I cannot stress that enough. In 2 years, these legislative seats are going to be open. And if you're not right now, and I mean right now, looking at your local Republican town committees and looking to volunteer and identify voters and do work on these policies. And there's 2 great groups out there right now. One is advocating against forced regionalization, and obviously there's the no tolls group advocating against putting in tolls. But there's so much out there. Get up, and I've talked about this before. Our founding fathers have forged this nation out of nothing, out of grit. They sacrificed their lives, their treasure, everything they possibly could to bring this constitutional republic to life. What we as the Republican Party, it literally at this point, it's our responsibility to save it. So I'm asking you to get off Facebook and get in the street. Don't wave signs. Don't wave signs and yell and shout. Get a clipboard. Get an app on your phone and go identify a voter and explain to them what the Democrats are doing to their family, because that's the only way we're going to win. And I keep telling this story. This is what the Democrats are doing right now. We've had obviously close elections. For those that are listening that don't realize, 22 races in 2018 were decided by about 2 percentage points or less. In some instances, Republicans lost races by 20 votes. 20 votes. That is, we're being outworked. So what I want everyone to do is understand how the Democrats are getting those 20 votes. They're going out in the streets right now. There's some college kid, there's some student, some activist right now walking the streets in a suburban community, and they're identifying voters on plastic bag banning. Think about that. We are in complete fiscal crisis, and the Democrats are talking about banning plastic bags. And they're identifying voters on that issue, because what they're doing is, in a race that we won as Republicans by 20 or 30 votes, they're trying to find 20 people that are so self-indulgent that they'd rather care about plastic bags than the fact that Connecticut's economy is crumbling. So we need to be doing the same thing. And we need to be out there advocating and working within our communities to find those voters who understand, or maybe we have to educate them, that the true root cause of Connecticut's crisis is the Democratic Party. There's no other fingerprints on the murder weapon. It is 100% the Democratic Party's fault that Connecticut cannot pay its bills, that it shifts money around that was meant to literally hold up bridges and repave roads and build schools. They're diverting money out of those accounts because they can't meet operating expenses. It is 100% the Democratic Party's fault. And we have to tell that story. So please, this summer, work with your municipal candidates. Get involved with your local RTCs. We have to be pulling our weight. We have to fight for this. We have to, because no one else is coming. There's no cavalry coming over the hill. It is up to us to save this state. I'm J.R. Romano with the Connecticut Republican Party. Thanks for tuning in.